Hey y'all, in this video we're going to make a data quality report on the SAP Material Master that looks at consistent setup values for alternate unit of measures on the Material Master. Now that's a big mouthful, but basically what they want to see, or what every client that we've worked with wants to see from a data quality standpoint, is whether consistently like the case alternate unit of measure has been set up on a finished good, or a kilogram on a semi-finished good. And then you get to things where we get a little twist in the plot where we have raw materials that can be any one of four values, and that's where it's going to get interesting, and you're going to want to see how we solve that issue. Well, let's get to work. The very first thing we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to translate what the user or business gave us as requirements into data so that we can use it to evaluate the data that's in SAP. And so what I have here is a selection of values into a record set. And I want to explain the record set and why it matters, right? So if you look at column 1, it's material type, right? Kind of stand straightforward. And where things get a little wonky is the client may say to you, like, not that every material has to have this list of alternate units of measure. They'll say things like, listen, a finished good can either have an each or a piece. Either one of them is valid, but as long as they have one, it's good. They're saying a HALB should have a piece, a HAWA should have a piece, and a row, which is a raw material, can have, as long as it has piece, each, or kilogram, we're good. And so that's where it gets a little tricky. You can't just do like this outer join to two different record sets and say, oh, well, this is missing this because it might have one of the other ones. So what we have to do is we have to make a translation of this data into something that is normalized to what they really expect. And the way we do that, so when I run this now, you'll see sort of the detailed view of the way that the values work for the map. What we really want is we want to do a select distinct material type and the required UOM combined as what I call our good guys. All right, let me get that in there and run it. And you'll see it changes a little bit. Now what's happened is you'll see that the FERT has this thing we're going to match to called required UOM combined, which is each or piece, a HALB piece, HAWA piece, and then a row is a piece each or kilogram. Now, the way we're going to deal with that on the other side, or the actual data, is we're going to write a case statement on that data where we do the exact same translation. That way we'll be comparing apples to apples, and I think you'll be excited to see how this works out. Are you having fun yet? All right. Next, we've got to take this data set that we created and we've got to attach it to the Material Master. All right. So, and we've actually got to conditionally attach it, right? Because if you look, there's 4 rows. We don't want 4 rows for every material. We want to attach it at the material type level to say, look, if it's a FERT, it needs an each or a piece. If it's a HALB, it needs a piece, HAWA piece, row, piece, each, kg. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go do a cross join. So I'm going to move over here to this other script that I've developed to show you how to do the cross join. Now, most of the syntax is down here, but we did have to add in a couple fields up in the select because now we want to see the material number, and this LVORM, that is the deletion flag on the Material Master on the MARA level. So we're always going to use that field to make sure that we're not working with deleted records. And then here you can see the cross join's been added, but then here's where it gets a little more interesting, in that we've got to use this where statement to limit out what we're actually going to cross join to. So we're going to limit it to just the material types that we've selected or that we've got in our map, and we're going to say not deleted. And then here is the secret sauce, where the material type from our record set equals the material type in the material master, and we're going to run this. And then you'll see I've got it ordered by material number, so it's kind of easy for us to see. So this HALB gets a piece. This FERT can have an each or a piece. And then if we go down through, there should be some rows or something down here. There's rows, each or piece, each or kilogram. All right. Now I want to show you why it was important to do a conditional cross join. Let me pull this off. So dot dot and dot dot and run. Now you can see this material number has 4 different conditions, which that's not accurate. The material number is not a FERT, HALB, HAWA, and row. It's only one of those, right? So we have to limit it by joining back to the material master saying, hey, if it's a FERT, use this value. If it's a row, use this value. Okay, let's take a pause and do a sanity check on our record count, because we want to make sure with all the things we have going on here with this selecting values and distinct and cross join, that we're actually looking at the right record count or the right data and say, okay, for the record set that we're looking at, so the material types, the non-deleted material types, what is the record count in MARM? And if I run this, you'll see down here, I don't know if you can read it, but it says 2675. And with our script that we wrote for what I call the good guys or the standard, it's also 2675. So that's just a quick check to make sure that as we progress on, we know that we're evaluating 2,675 materials. We want to see if they pass or fail the data quality test, and that's what we're going to get into next. All right, the next thing we want to do is we want to basically come up with a list of what I call the bad guys, or what the data that's being evaluated against the standard, right? To do that, we're going to actually pull SAP data from 2 tables. One is MARA and one is MARM, and you can see a script I have up here, and I'll just walk you through it, but we're gonna basically pull the material number, the material type, the unit of measure from MARA and MARM, and we're also going to use a case statement to rebuild the same type of structure that we had in our good guys for the combined to deal with that requirement from the business that they said, hey, if a finished good is a each or a piece, it just has to have one of them. It doesn't need both of them. I want to know that that's a pass. If a HALB has a piece, good, HAWA, piece, good, and a row can have a piece each or kilogram. All right, so we're building that against the data that is actually in SAP. And don't worry about trying to write all this SQL down. I'm going to upload all of this onto GitHub, and I will even upload the 2 tables, because they're not that big from the sandbox system that I'm using, into GitHub so that you can actually import the data, play with the scripts. So if we just look at the bad guys, we're simply pulling data using an inner join between MARA and MARM, and we're just to keep things consistent, we're limiting the bad guys or the data that's being evaluated to the same material types that we had from the standard. And so no magic here except maybe the case statement. This is the secret sauce that helps us whittle down and deal with those OR statements. So if we run this, you're going to notice something. Oop, I hit new query. I did not mean to do that. I meant to hit execute. You're going to notice that the record type down, or the record count down here is 4955. We don't care in this instance that equals the 2675, because the 2675 is the standard that we're looking for. 4955 is what's actually in the system. And you can see that there are other units of measure like the CAR and PAL, which is probably pallets, that we don't get values for in our map. That's okay, because in essence, there's extra alternate units of measure, and that's not part of our requirements. Our requirements are just to say, for the required units of measure, are they there? If there's extras, okay, and so what? We're not going to worry about those. But in the end, when we supply a data quality report to our customer, our end user, we want to make sure that we have that 26 1975 record count. So what do we do with this? In essence, what we have to do is take the good guys, outer join to the bad guys, and then tell SQL or the users where we don't have a match, right? So the good guys is the standard, the bad guys is what we're evaluating against. And so anywhere in SAP we don't find the standard that we were looking for, we want to flag that as a fail. So how do we do that? Well, in essence, in this script, what I've done is I've taken the good guys and made them into a subquery. So everywhere from right here down to here is the good guys. And then the bad guys query that we went through, which was this guy, is another subquery at the bottom where we do a left outer join to that data or that record set that we created. And here's something that's really important, that we join on not just material number, but the material number and that combined unit of measure map that we had between the good guys and the bad guys. And then when we do that, we will get a null in this MARM unit of measure combined. And so what we do is we leverage that to create a DQ test column that says pass or fail. So in essence, anytime that column is null, meaning we didn't get a match to the desired requirement, then we're going to put fail in that column. If we get a match, we'll say pass. And then if we look at the data, we've got pass, 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 fail, 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 pass, fail, right? So if it's null, it's fail. If it is if it found the match, it's a pass. What I want to do at this point, and what I would recommend you always do, is that you test your scripts, test your data, right? First of all, I'm looking at my record count. Is it the desired record count? 2675. So there's 2,675 records that say pass or fail. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to do what the user, the remediation partner, whoever is going to work with this data, I'm going to do exactly what they would do, which is I'm going to pick 2 records, and they might do more, but I'm going to do at least 2, 1 pass and 1 fail, to see in the system if it actually is matching up. So we got 1977, 1978, they're both HALBs, and we're looking for the standard of peace. So let's start with the one that passed, which is 1977. We're going to go into the material master, and we're going to put in that material number, 1977. We're going to go basic data, and first thing we're going to do is say, is it actually the material type we were looking for or thought it was? Yes, it's a HALB. Right there it says HALB. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the unit of measure tab, and we're going to look for piece, which is what it said it has, and there it is, piece. So this is a pass. The next one was 1978. Let's go look at 1978. We put 1978 in there. We go same path. Is it a HALB? It is a HALB. Does it have a piece on it? So we go over to the unit of measure, and it has L. Well, L is maybe okay, but it's not. It does not have the required unit of measure, which was piece. And just one last one, because it was a little different. Let's grab either a FERT or a row and test it, right? So here's one where we have S111. It's got to have either a piece, an each, or a kg. Let's go look. So go in here, put in the material code, same deal. Is it a raw material? It is an ROH. That's a good sign. Then we go to alternate unit of measure, units of measure. There's the each. So that's the way that you need to skin, or one way that you can actually go and solve this problem. One thing I want to give you a tip on that may be helpful to you is, what if you don't want to have this great big long script and you want something that's a little bit easier to debug? What I would suggest is that you take the good guys script and make it into a view, make the bad guys script into a view, and then throw that into a view with the good guys and the bad guys do your outer join, add your case statement, and then you have something that's way easier maybe to get a visual and understand, debug, maintain, so on and so forth. Well, that was a complex issue that we had to solve, figuring out how to make sure we had all the required units of measure for a given SAP standard for a client. I hope this video was helpful to you. I enjoyed making it, and I hope you have a great day, and God bless.